Hi, today we're going to talk about dividing fractions and dividing mixed numbers. This is 5.6. So let's get started. Let's think about these three oranges here. Okay. There we go. Let's think about these three oranges here. And we want to cut each orange into fourths. So fourths. How do we say fourths? Okay. And another word for for cut that we can use is divide. So we have 3 oranges divided by 1/4. And how many pieces do we end up with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We end up with 12. 12. So 3 divided by 1/4 is equal to 12. And if we look at it the same way here, how many circles do I have down here? I have 3 circles. 1, 2, 3. I have 3 circles. And I want to divide them by 1/2. So I want to know how many halves. There's 1/2 here. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 3 divided by 1/2 is equal to 6. Let's look at this. 3, what do we know about 3 and 6? Let's look at 3 and 6. What else can I say? 3 is equal to 6. 3 times 2 is equal to 6. And these two numbers, 1/2 and 2, are what's called inverse. So if we flip them upside down, Popan in Thai, I think, Kapua, right? 1/2 and 2 are inverses. There's another way to look at it. All right, and we looked at this before. This is 2/3 and this is 1/2. So 2/3 times 1/2 is equal to 2/6. So we looked at it that way, but we know that division is the inverse. So we can say 2/6 divided by 1/2. What does that give us? That gives us 2/3. Or we can say 2/6 divided by 2/3. What does that give us? 1/2. So we can use the inverse method, or we can think what times this and use the inverse that way. Okay? So what are our steps? We do math normally, steps to divide fractions. Our step number 1 is rename the mixed numbers to improper fractions. So if we have 2 and 1/2, we want to change that to, well, let's see, 1/2 plus 4 halves. 4 halves is 2, so we want to change that to 5 halves. Oops. 5 halves. And our second thing to do is to flip the second fraction. And flip, when we turn it upside down on its head. Okay. The top becomes the bottom and the bottom becomes the top. Then we're going to multiply. And so we want to multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators and simplify the fraction, just like we did before. So let's see how that works. I'm going to go with a color that they don't have here, green. All right, so 7 over 8 divided by 3 over 4. I don't know why that didn't come out. We want to, step number 1, get the inverse. So this 4 goes up on top and this 3 goes down on the bottom. All right, and now change the divide into multiply. So now it's 7/8 times 4 thirds. And we'll do that every time. Now let's see how that works with one of these. Okay, whoops. So I'm going to start with 1/3 divided by 5, and my step 1 is rename. So I want to rename that whole number there, that integer, to a fraction. If it's a mixed number, we'll change it to a fraction. All right, step number 2, we want to find the inverse of the second one, or flip it. So I'm going to change this. The 5 goes on the bottom and the 1 goes on the top, and change them division into multiplication. So now my problem is 1/3 times 1/5. And our step 3, multiply the numerators, and that's 1. And our step 4 is multiply the denominators, and that's 3 times 5 is 15. And step 5 is simplify. We don't have to simplify, so this is our answer at 1/15. Let's try it again a different way here. This time it's going to have a negative number. So I'm going to write 3/4 divided by -1/2. -1/2. All right, my step 1 is to rename, but these are all fractions. I don't have to rename. Step 2, we're going to invert. So I'm going to take this 2, put it on the top, and put this 1, put it on the bottom, and then change the divide into a multiply. So what do I end up with? Then I end up with 3/4 times -2/1. Step 3, multiply the, didn't want to do that. All right, there we go. Step 3, multiply the numerators, and 3 times 2 is 6. We also know a positive number times a negative number is going to give us a negative number. 4, multiply the denominators. 4 times 1 is 4, and 5 is simplify. All right, and that comes out to -1 2/4, which is -1.5. So our answer is -1.5. We'll do it again, a little bit more difficult this time. Oops, doesn't want to come up here. All right, so I'm going to write 2/3 divided by 3 1/3, and my step 1 is to rename. So I'm going to change this to 9/3 plus 1/3, or 10/3. Okay. Then my step 2 is to invert. And so I'm going to put the 10 on the bottom and the 3 on the top, and change this to times. And I've got 2/3 times 3/10. And then my third is multiply the numerators, and that is equal to 6. And 4 is multiply the denominators, and that is 30. And then 5 is simplify. And there's some things that we can do once we get good at this. Like we can say 3 divided by 3 is 1. We can get rid of that. But we're just going to wait till the end right now. So this is 3 times 2, and this is 3 times 2 times 5. So I can get rid of this 3 and this 3, I can get rid of this 2 and this 2. And what I'm left with is 1 over 5. So my answer is 1/5. How many 3 1/3 are in 2/3? There's 1/5 of a 3 1/3. All right.